Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new here. My name is Ingolika. I go by Kali, and today I have a really exciting video that was recommended to me by Efi, so thank you so much. So today it'll be a fitness related video, which is perfect timing. The new year is rolling right on, and it's rolling right on in. And a lot of people's New Year's resolutions are based around health and working out. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to squat and deadlift using the Smith machine. So the Smith machine, basically, long story short, it's this huge contraption in the gym. You will not miss it. A lot of gyms have it, some of them don't. I would highly recommend using it if you're first starting, but you can do various lifts on it, including squatting and deadlifting, and it's as if somebody is there helping you like lift the weight. So it decreases a lot of probably bad form and injuries, which I'm trying to highlight in this video. But if you don't have it, that's okay. As long as you're using the right form, then you will be fine. So again, I'll be doing a basic squatting and deadlifting, nothing fancy. I think a lot of times on social media, you see all these fancy lifts and things to do in the gym, but you don't really know how to do it. For those of you that have no clue what you're doing in the gym, this video is for you. So without further ado, let's get on into it.
So we're going to start with the lower body first, and I'm going to show you the stance. You should be about a little wider than shoulder width apart with your feet, and you can go ahead and point your toes out if need be. Here's a better frame of how you should be standing. We're going to be focusing on the lower body, and then we'll move to the upper body and how you should make sure you should be standing so that we avoid as many injuries as possible. So your weight should be mostly in your heels. You should literally be able to lift your toes up when you're squatting. When you sit back, make sure you picture as if you are sitting on the tiniest chair possible. I try to aim for about a 90-degree angle with my body, and you'll be able to see it better in this frame. Again, feet should be a little wider than shoulder width apart, and weight should be in your heels, and then bam. 90-degree angle, my knees are behind my toes to prevent any injuries, and I'm going back up. So the biggest thing for the lower body is making sure your feet are wide enough apart, making sure that your weight is in your heels, and making sure when you're sitting back, you're sitting backwards and not over your body. Now we're transitioning to the upper body, and honestly, when you're first starting out, feel free to use a bar or the side of the machine as a guide. Now, when you're going down, as you can see, I'm kind of touching my chest because my chest should not be over my knees, not over my body. It's pointing forward. Now, since I've squatted, or I have been squatting for a really long time, I don't really need the bar to hold on to, but feel free to do it if that is easier for you. But when you're going down, your upper body should not move that much. You should literally almost be like a stick. And if you do bend over, literally your chest should still be pointing out forward to the mirror, to the wall, to the window, whatever you are squatting in front of. So again, I'm showing you how to squat or practice squatting if you're using a guide as well. Now we're going to go on to a few do's and don'ts to keep in mind as you're learning to squat. So here, my feet are a little too close, so that causes my knees to go out in different ways. It may cause my knees to come in a little bit, and we don't want that at all. We don't want any injuries when we're first learning to squat because that's not fun. So we're just trying to make sure we're practicing the best form possible. So here, I'm showing you not to squat and be on your toes. So again, weight should be all in your heels, not in your toes. Your heels should never come up. If anything, your toes should be the ones coming up. And see how my knees are coming over my toes? We don't want that either. This one's a little weird, but I've seen it happen before. People kind of squat and one leg comes out or both legs come in. Again, that's going to put a lot of pressure on your knees and cause you to have a lot of knee problems. And honestly, women apparently have more knee problems than men. Now moving on to the upper body don'ts. So the first thing is, do not put your entire upper body or chest over your knees. Your chest should not point down towards the ground. It should try to be pointing straight forward. So this is how you should be squatting, and this, pointing downward, is how you should not be squatting. Again, do not go over your knees because we don't want to hurt that lower back. You want to make sure that when you're squatting, you're going straight down, chest pointing forward as much as possible, and then come back up. So now we're finally moving on to how to set up the actual weights on the squat rack. So the Smith machine is very similar. I like to put the bar about chest, or where my chest is and mid back. So I'm adjusting it now and showing you why at your neck is way too high. It's right above your shoulders, which looks promising, right? But you have to kind of get on your tippy toes in order to get the weights off of the machine and eventually get into your position. But if it's at chest or mid back, you can easily get into your position, squat down, and then pick up the weight and begin to squat. So it makes it a lot easier if you put it there. So just to show you in reference again, I like to keep it at about where my chest is, just so that it's easier to get into the right form and positioning for the squat rack. So we're just going to check hand placement first, just making sure that when you grab it, your palms are flat, and then you wrap around the bar, and your body should be in the middle of the bar. Make sure you're doing that. Neck should be in the middle, because if you're not using the Smith machine, you're just using a squat rack, then the weights will slide off and that could have a potential injury. So now we're putting everything together, keeping every tidbit in mind so that we prevent injuries. And one tidbit that I used when I was first squatting was looking up, because it forced me to keep my chest pointing forward and not going down over my body. So now we're transitioning into deadlifting and how to do that. And the great thing about deadlifting is the foot placement is pretty similar to squatting. So all you need to do is master the upper body. So here I have my upper body going over my legs as if you're going to pick something up. Chest is still trying to point forward, and then you're pulling it using your lower body or leg muscles to do the work instead of your back. So here will be a better representation of how your lower body should look when you're deadlifting. Again, your feet should be about shoulder width apart, similar to squatting. Your weight should be in your heels, and you want to make sure that your chest stays pointed forward. So my hands are representing where the bar is, and when you go down, again, is as if you're trying to pull something out of the ground, but your chest is pointing forward, and you want to make sure your weight is in your heels and that your knees do not go over your toes, because with deadlifting, it's super easy to hurt your back, especially when you're first starting. So we're going to go ahead and set up the bar. I like to keep it a little lower than where my knees are, so right where my shins are at. Your feet should be wider than shoulder width apart. I think I made the mistake of saying shoulder width apart. They definitely need to be wider if you want to make sure you're going as low as possible. And then when you're going down, your chest should again be facing forward. I think I'm going to do a still frame right here. My chest is literally facing forward. It's not pointing down towards the ground. And then your hand placement, you can do one hand forward, one hand facing backward. I've seen people do that, but personally, it just depends on the day and how much I'm lifting. So we're going to get into how exactly you get into form once you're standing up. My advice would be to bend over as if you're a Barbie doll, back flat, grab the bar a little wider than where your legs are, sit back as if you're literally in a chair, chest forward, and pull up as if you're pulling something right out of the ground. And when you're returning the bar, make sure you're not using your back to do it because you don't want it to hurt your back. Again, sit back, pull up. Remember not to use your back to pull the bar up. You're using your legs, you're using your glutes. That is what this exercise is targeting. Here's another way to hold the bar. Again, like I said earlier, with the hands facing opposite directions. It gives some people a better grip, but it's really up to personal preference. Now, just a few things to keep in mind with your stance. You don't want to have your feet too close or too wide when you're first starting out. I know that there are some lifts that are variations of deadlifts that you do have your legs a little wider, but when you're first starting out, I think it's important to know how to just traditionally deadlift. Here is the correct form. Chest facing forward, sitting back, not relying on your back to pull up the weight. Here is how not to lift. So as you can see, I'm holding the bar right, but I'm barely squatting down, sitting back, and I'm relying on my back really to lift up the weight. And my chest is pointing downward when I'm pulling the bar up. So this is definitely a recipe for lower back issues, and you're not getting the benefits of the exercise.
Okay guys, that concludes the video. I hope you were able to take something away from this or learn something that is going to be motivating enough for you to start your New Year's resolution now and not wait till the new year. Now, I know that everybody has a different style of lifting, but this is how I have learned. It's not the end all be all way. But I think this is a really great way to learn if you are just starting out. If you want to see more videos like this, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, evening, afternoon, I don't even know. But yeah, I will see you in my next video. Bye.